Hello and welcome to the
How you're
Futro
supposed to do
Hidden
it right. Hello.
and welcome to the future. I know I've done that introduction before. It's funny. This
Yeah.
should be the movie podcast to do it. Oh, I didn't mean to frighten you, dear. This is the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen.
I love you did it so
Are
loud
your
it
children?
actually muted it, Ty, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you did it so loud it muted it.
That's how loud you need to be, though. My quote was, "Are your children well behaved, or do they need light slams every once in a while?"
I am Joe.
We've got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
I do a great impression of a hot dog. Yeah, that's good.
And we've got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
I miss Dad. The honorable mention is when he's singing "Jump Around." I'm the cream of the crop, rise to the top.
Or better yet, an Arnold Schwarzenegger. A Terminator. Like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know how to rap. Anyway. And we've got Cassie, or I should say CaSaundra Kimball on the podcast.
Oh, sir, I saw it. Some angry member of the kitchen staff. It was a run by Fruity.
Oh, does it say fruity or is it run by fruiting? Is that what it is?
Oh, I don't know. I've always
Run
said
by
Fruity.
Fruity?
I've never.
Always
I love
don't
and then
know.
she
I
goes,
don't know.
"Did you not tip them well?" Guys, today
What are
we
you
are
looking
reviewing-
at?
No, what are you looking at?
Do you consider yourself funny?
I used to. There was
I
a
used
time
for
in my
a very
life I
long
did.
time.
But today you proved me wrong. Guys, today we were reviewing Mrs. Doubtfire. This movie came out in 1993. This movie is 1 year older than I am. No, younger. I'm older than this movie, so that's crazy. It's directed by Chris Columbus. You might know him from movies like Harry Potter and what else did he do? Didn't he do like? Pretty sure he did not just the Harry Potter, but what didn't he do like Home Alone? Pretty sure he did Home Alone. Pretty sure that's the guy.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Maybe
Got
he didn't.
some
That's
movie dinners
misinformation.
spelled.
I have no idea. I should probably look it up. I should have done some research. It's directed by Chris Columbus, starring Robin Williams. It's got Anne Fine. No, wait, excuse me, Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan. You guys
You're
know
right.
some
He
of those
did,
actors.
He did direct that, yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Thanks. I was like double checking because it's been a while, but I know the name Chris Columbus. I'm like, dude, he's done a lot of things that are really famous. He's just like probably the guy that knows most about life. It's like, hey, you want a movie about a divorce? This is the movie about
Oh,
divorce.
he also did Adventures of Babysitting. That one's fun.
Yeah. So a lot of classics. So guys, what was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Start with you, Jordan.
Oh, geez. It's a family household, as Cameron said in his review on Letterboxd. Like we grew up with this one. Or what did you call it? A Mickle.
Called a Mickle Certified Hood Classic.
It is a classic, and we watched it a lot growing up, which I imagine is somewhat therapeutic because our family also went through a divorce, so it just like really hits home. And it's funny,
For
so many
those in it that didn't experience it as a child wanted to experience it later in life.
Yeah. Well, oh geez, and that's right. We've all been somehow involved in a divorce.
Jeez.
On the spot.
Grant's the only one that hasn't.
Yeah. But
So I don't know why I'm laughing.
yeah, why are you laughing? You're making me laugh. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, it's just I've never thought of it that way. That's all. It's just Cameron. I'm learning something on the podcast in real time.
So all the characters too remind me of people in my life. Like the mom has the same haircut as our Aunt Chris. And when Robin Williams gets
That's
dressed
so
up as
funny.
Mrs. Doubtfire, she looks just like our grandma Christensen. And
Your grandma looked like that?
No, she didn't.
I think she
Not at
does.
all. Jordan
Yeah.
just doesn't remember her well enough. He'd watched too much TV. Didn't
Yeah.
spend any time visiting with her.
Maybe. And then
She's like a really sweet lady. Maybe that's trying to help you out, Jordan. She was
I
a very
know.
sweet lady.
yeah,
So
and then Cassie reminds me of the oldest sister a little bit.
I got vibes of that. Yeah,
I'll take that.
And then Grant looks exactly like the youngest daughter.
Cassie.
Okay.
Cassie
Yeah.
would take up a
It's
tennis racket to protect us from a. That's
Oh
the
my
power of Cassie.
gosh.
She'd be like, "Back off, you freak!"
You shoot for Reek.
He's
Anyways, I love this movie. Classic. Very fun to
folks. Folks, let's hear from Cameron. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it after you've been divorced? Sorry, it's not funny. I'm
Why do you
tired
keep
right
making
now.
me
I'm
laugh?
very
It's not
tired.
funny.
I know I'm tired. You brought it up. You brought your luggage into this movie. So anyway, what's it like rewatching it now?
I think first time watching it, I can't remember. We didn't watch it a ton because I think they got burnt out on it when you guys were like growing up on watching it. So they didn't watch it until I think I was in high school. And it's funny because my dad originally like he used to hate this because it was like way too close to home because it was like the exact situation of his divorce. And like it also like ended, except it didn't have the happy ending like it does in the end of this movie. And so he used to like hate this movie, but then the farther he was away from the situation, the easier he was to like able to separate it. And so then I think he showed me it with mom as well. And then I thought it was so funny. I was like, this is insane. I can't believe I haven't seen this. Because it was also one of those things that I'd heard you guys quote it so much that I like felt like I'd seen it. But then finally putting like scenes to the quotes was really fun. And then rewatching it, I forgot. Not that I forgot. It just amazes me how well this holds up. I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, like the PC and the maybe doesn't hold up so well, but like overall, the humor, I just thought it was so funny. Like all the interactions, I just imagined myself in his position where I was like, man, if I was the housekeeper and I was seeing my ex being like swooned by this dude, I'm like, I'm sure I'd have some pretty similar like reactions or interactions. And so I just thought it was so funny, like a lot of the petty things he would do, like throwing the fruit or just like saying certain things about him. It's like, when someone has to buy a car that nice, they're
Yeah.
like comments like
Or just
that I thought
tears
were
off the freaking
yeah.
what was the
Oh, that's all
Chrysler
this
logo?
outside.
Tears it off the car. I love it.
But yeah, I was blown away at how, because I watched it by myself. I was trying to show my roommates, but it was really funny. They were not interested at all in watching it. And I was like, it's one of Robin Williams' best performances. I'm like, easily top 30.
Have they seen
for
it
me.
before?
No, they've never seen it, and they had no desire to watch it. And then it was funny.
So how do you pitch the movie, Cameron? You're like, well, there's this deadbeat dad, and he ends up dressing up as an old woman to get his family back. You're like,
no,
I mean, on
well,
paper,
like,
it doesn't seem like it works, but you're right in the fact that it's Robin Williams somehow makes this movie happen because
yeah, and that's what I was kind of. I'm like, it's like Robin Williams balances the comedic as well as the dramatic so well in this. It's insane. And I feel like it's very similar to aspects of that in like Good Will Hunting and like Dead Poet Society. I feel like he's kind of just a master at balancing that, where like having the comedy moments, but at the same time, he's still like immediately draws you in anytime he's like dramatic or emotional. You're like, wow, holy cow, like total vibe switch up.
Yeah.
Like when he talks about wanting to be with his kids, huh? You're like, he
I
needs
need
it.
to be with my kids.
Yeah.
Oh, in front of the
so
judge. I mean, man, that got me teary-eyed. I'm like, oh my gosh. It made me think of, and which I should have mentioned the most of all, the best comparison is our dad to Robin Williams. It just
and discretion to the listeners out there. Jordan cries when it's inappropriate in movies, so don't. No, and we've got Cass. I want to know what was like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast.
I was really surprised. So Cameron, I'm similar to you in the sense that Bruce was homesick, so I invited him to watch it with me, and he was on his phone like the whole time.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you realized after all the jokes, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have let him watch this.
Because we watched it so many times, I know where like all the swear words are. I know anything inappropriate, so I muted everything. I like held up a pillow when he's flipping off somebody, so I know all the parts. But
how about when he sets himself on fire? Is that something you edit out, or you just let your kids deal with that?
Hilarious.
I've only been in one for a few days, and I'm already on hot flashes.
Burning rubber.
But I was surprised though. I don't know if, like Cameron was saying, like we got it kind of burnt out. I have seen this movie so many times. I almost like didn't want to watch parts of it.
Yeah, that was me too. Yeah.
There are parts of it that I like fast forward, like when he's talking with Sally and they're like talking about really sad stuff. I was like, I'm just gonna fast forward this part. I know what they're saying because I've seen it so many times. I was just surprised. I thought I'd be like, oh yes, I love, because I love this movie when we were kids. And I wrote down I think one of the reasons I liked it was just not feel as so alone. Like I'm like, oh, other people go through this, even though they're actors. Like I get that, but just for some reason as a kid, there's something about sharing a similar experience, even if it's different, right? Our dad never dressed up like that to get to us, but there's just something to that. And like Jordan was talking about the humor, it's just nice, right? Robin Williams was just so funny to me as a kid. All of his movies that we saw him in.
As
He's in
far as we know,
Aladdin.
Dad never dressed up, but we never caught him peeing. So,
Do we ever have any nice,
I guess
housemaids
your
or
guys'
anything?
dad just didn't want to hang around you as much as Robin Williams wanted to hang around his kid. He wasn't willing to go to the extreme lengths.
So I wonder if all divorcee parents, think about this and they're like, kids, children of divorced parents look at this and they're like, you didn't even bother to dress up in drag for me, I guess you don't really love me, jeez, like put in a little effort there, will you? That's okay. So I need to get into this. So when I was a kid growing up, I remember thinking, oh, like when your mom gets remarried, they marry Pierce Brosnan. And I was like, definitely an upgrade. He was so cool. And honestly, I don't know why, but for some reason, I remember thinking like, and only knowing him from James Bond, he was like a larger than life, handsome, dashing. I actually thought he was James Bond in the movie when I first saw this as a kid. So I remember thinking like, oh, like she's marrying like an agent. I don't know why I thought that was so cool. like a spy agent. And what's the word I'm looking for? A 00 agent. I thought he was that in this movie for some reason. I don't know why when I first saw it, because I just knew him from that. Anyway, now watching it, like you guys have said, as an adult, I probably could quote verbatim every like line from this movie. Like I know this entire movie forward and backwards, but even now watching it as an adult, it's
there's a lot of jokes I didn't catch as a kid,
or even like subtle
or
jokes that I missed. Yeah.
Like when he was like, "Thanks, Warden," when he says that to the lady as he's like walking away.
Says it to his mother-in-law.
His mother-in-law.
Thanks for the
Never
time,
caught
Warden.
that as a kid or understood it.
Yeah. So there's plenty to catch on rewatch, but I'm completely charmed by Robin Williams. I think without that, I don't think this movie works. I mean, without it, it definitely doesn't work, and that's why you won't get a remake of this Doubtfire. It's just this is a really special place in my heart. So anyway, let's get into two of our favorite things. Cass, why don't you start us off? What are your two favorite things from this movie?
Okay. I wrote down 4, but I'm not going to say all of them because I'll
tell you what. You do 2, and if we get through it, go back to your list.
Okay,
and
I like that. Okay.
Cite them off. They'll be said before the podcast.
Well, I think Jordan used my quote that because it's the whole scene of when Robin Williams when Robin Williams changes the numbers on the phone number so that he's the only one that can call in.
That's right. Yes. She's putting an ad out in the paper for a nannying position, and he changes the number. So when she submits it, they're not going to get any calls.
That whole montage of him calling in and being crazy people.
Why don't you pipe down?
That's my favorite.
Don't make me get the hose.
Get back in your cage.
Get back in your sail.
On your sail.
Get back in your sail. Don't make me get the hose. I don't work with the males. I used to be one, and I am Job. I am Job. Do you speak English? I am Job. Yeah, that whole scene is just great to me. And then, okay, fine. I'll just do this one. I just like the entire scene at the Bridges restaurant. I'm so impressed with it. I think it's clever writing. I think it's so fun that they have to be on separate sides of the restaurant and he has to change outfits.
Smoking.
Yeah.
Smoking.
All of that's just so clever to me.
Smoking.
And then like that he accidentally switches and like sits as a woman in front of the guy, Mr. Lundy, and all of that's just fun. That's really fun. The whole scene is fun.
Yeah. And he's clearly coming in a little bit tipsy as he's trying to read.
Well, it's great too because he falls at the sits on a chair. Falls out of his chair.
That's right. And then the teeth, I forgot about that. And then he's like shaking him in front of him and he's like flicking him in the eye.
Front of his face.
Oh,
so gross. It's just good. That whole scene. Those are my two
Pierce
favorites.
Brosnan handles all that like a champ, and he's just like,
I heard in a behind the scenes thing that that restaurant scene took about like 3 weeks to do, and I was like, that's amazing because it is a lot of stuff, a lot of
yeah.
different things they had
A
to
lot of
film.
things.
Anyway,
It's good stuff. How about you, Cameron? Two of your favorite things. We'll get back to you, Cass. Hold on to your list.
Yeah, I think my first favorite thing is just like they tackle the subject of divorce so well, and I love that there's no villains in the movie. It's because like there's a perfect moment for
Whoa, Cameron! I might blow your mind, but I
yeah.
have some theories.
Well, I was gonna say the mom, it's kind of borderline. Luckily, she makes up for it at the end, but man, she's just like,
yeah, we could talk about that.
and I love how they don't make anyone villains. Like even Pierce Brosnan, he has that moment where it's like it's totally
he's
setting
listening
up
to
for
him.
Yes.
Yeah, like
He's talking
totally
to his
setting up
friend
for
at
him
the
to be like,
bar.
yeah, I'm just trying
Hey,
to
the
like,
luggage
forget
for
the
you. And he should be
kids.
like, I'm going to send him away to military school.
Yeah, like
we were all waiting for
like,
that scene. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was so easy for
No.
them to just like set that up to where, or even him just be like, oh, I'm just being nice to her kid so that I can get her. But I love that he's like, no, she's got some incredible kids and like she's an incredible lady. Like I just love that because then it shows it's like, because as like the ex, you want to just be like, oh, she's dating Satan. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, she dated you and married you, so you have to understand that she's probably gonna go for someone like similar to you, so that if they're Satan, that means that you are probably Satan as well.
What can you say, Cameron? The guy's a loser. So loser.
I
and
love
so I
when he's at that bar. Sorry, just really quick, and then that lady, he buys her a drink. And I think he forgot
It's
for
on
a
me.
second that he was dressed up as a woman.
No thanks.
Sorry, Kev.
No, and so I just think it's really cool how like even the wife, and I know that there's times where it's but that's what I think is cool is I think the film even leans into more of her gripes about the marriage is that she's only viewed as the one who comes in and is boring and has to like set the law and essentially because I think that's the biggest reason, and especially in my like in my life I saw that in my first marriage where I was like, oh wow, this like we already had like discussions where she felt like I was always the one that was fun and she always had to kind of come down. So that like when she was saying that in that, I was like, oh, I've heard this story before. And so it's I just love how it shows it's not necessarily that she's evil. It's just her perspective and that she hates feeling like that she needs to be the bad guy and that she's always not being able to be the fun parent because everyone wants a turn to be the fun parent. And so she just felt like that was so out of balance. And that's what, see, later on, the only reason that she is able to be more fun and lenient is because Robin Williams steps up as Mrs. Doubtfire to be the more responsible dad, essentially. And so then you see him being more responsible and growing as a human being and a character. Like, then she's able to, like, revert back to her better form or grow as a character herself and be the more fun mom. So that's what you can say, oh, it's all her, but it's like the only reason that she was starting to digress also was because he was like refusing to be responsible at all. And so it's
if
like it's
Sally Field had been more accepting of Ron Williams and let him earlier in their marriage, they may have saved it. So do I have that right?
something like that. And
Okay, good.
so that's why I just think it's cool that they don't like villainize anyone in the situation. And then the second thing is like, I mean, the performances all around, but like I'm so impressed with the kid actors because especially
so good.
anything 2000s or 90s, oh my gosh, the kid actors usually make me want to kill myself. But it's like their performances in this. Well, one, Matilda is the cutest little girl of all
Mara
time.
Wilson, yeah, she's plays
The
Matilda.
cutest
She's
little girl ever. She's like, you can't leave. Like everything, the way she just delivers everything is so cute and adorable. And then I loved like his son as well as his oldest daughter. I love that she was naturally a little protective of her siblings and kind of like standoffish where she's like, no, like who are you? You're some new person entering into our family. And so I just felt like a lot of like they portrayed kind of some characteristics that I feel like are pretty common in like a new person coming into the family or just like children dealing with divorce like really well as like teenage actors. I was like, wow, well done.
Yeah, well, that was when I was comparing Cassie to the girl. I just remember hearing from mom just at the beginning of when she got remarried, it was a little hard for Cassie to accept the new dad in the family because you were the oldest. I don't remember it at all, so it's a lot easier for me. But that's what I heard, and so I compared you to that sister. Also, Cameron, I
Did
thought
you ever
of
fend off Byron with a racket, Cass?
Yeah. No, I did think of Cameron though when for the son, and that's because the moment when the dad's like, "Give me a hug," and as he's dressed up like the chicken, he's like, no, I dressed up as a chick for Halloween," and Cameron's like, "Don't touch me."
I liked the it's funny that I realize this now, but I didn't realize it before how well they set up this universe where this is even possible. And somehow it just bleeds right in. So Robin Williams is a voice actor. So my number one favorite thing is watching Robin Williams voice act for a cartoon that's going on in the background. And I realized I could watch an entire movie where Robin Williams just acts as the voice of a cartoon. It's
Like
just
in Aladdin.
yeah, like in Aladdin. And I know they filmed that, and I've seen clips of it, but I would love to just go through and watch the entire thing because I think he's probably one of the greatest voice actors of all time. In fact, it's crazy. I've seen videos of explaining basically he did change the entire game of voice acting when Aladdin came around. He had asked them not to use the likeness, but they did anyway. But anyway, it's just a very interesting story though. But he ended up, doing the sequel, the Prince of Thieves Aladdin, and then he also did Ferngully, where he also voiced a bat. And I'm sure there's probably other voice acting that he did, but like those are some of the ones that come to mind. But watching him like do the parrot, the cat, like, and it's like, yeah, he could voice the entire cast of a cartoon, and you could not tell it was him. Like he's so good at doing voices and so quickly, and you watch him do it in real time, which is really just really special. So just what a strong start to your movie. But my second favorite thing is how
off.
just going from being the parrot to the cat to everything, and then doing voices to the job search lady or whatever, the employment center office lady.
That connection, Ty. I didn't even
but it's clever because again it's building a world where he can pull off a voice convincingly, right? So he ends up being some old English lady. But I love that your accent's a little funny. I love it. Like, what part of England did you say you're from? And she's like, oh, here, there. Yeah, amazing. Like, anyway, and then another setup was he has a brother. So when he does initially get divorced, you find out his brother works in like cosmetics in Hollywood, which makes sense. They're in San Francisco. They're in
he's an actor playing
California,
an actor, which is pretty great.
So he's a voice actor, and he has a brother that does cosmetic costumes and makeup. So like you have the two elements that are very important to like getting this whole thing. I want you to turn me
into a woman.
Oh, honey, I'm so
Bless
happy.
I'm so happy. Yeah, what that was the other funny thing too. This couple, like, what's his name? Uncle Frank, what does he say? He's like Uncle Jack. Frank and Aunt
Jack or something.
Jack or something. Yeah. Anyway, and then that whole montage of him dressing up as different women were hilarious. Like he's like, I don't know, I think this might be too much for them. He's got like these long claws. I love it. It's so funny. And he's trying on like all these different women, matchmaker, big nose. He's got the eyeliner, all the things. It's so funny. And somehow it was convincing enough. Like he's this big old British lady, and somehow it freaking works. It's believable. It's convincing enough. But oh my gosh. So those are my two favorite. Watching them set up that whole premise where this could work and it's not so out of left field, and then the voice acting in the beginning. Those are my two. But Cass, you have two others.
This time around, I really liked Mrs. Sellner. Mrs. Sellner, I think that's how you say her name. Anyway, I don't know why.
Mrs. Sellner, the employment office lady.
Yeah.
Have we met?
It's like I have a cup of English tea. Oh, wouldn't we all? And they just like have to do that whole scene of the face falling out the window.
The funniest. That's the funniest
great.
Scene by far.
That's a great scene. And the kids like watching him through the window. Yeah, and putting his face in the frosting. Like, that's so clever. It's just so fun. It's like,
and then he starts dripping into her coffee. He drips into her tea or whatever. He want one more drip. Oh, it's just like falling off of her face. So gross. Oh my gosh.
She's like,
I starts putting on her face.
Takes a taste of it. It's hilarious.
I'm like, I don't know if you want to take beauty tips from her, but
oh, it's so great.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say Robin Williams' performance and the quotes. Seriously perfect. Like Cameron said, best performance of his. Or you said top 3, I guess.
Hey, you already missed your chance, bud.
I think Will Hunting is his best performance, but
oh, okay.
Cass, what
But
was your
One.
fourth favorite thing? I want to hear your fourth favorite
Seen
thing.
Good Will Hunting.
It's got a lot of language.
Language.
You'll have to watch
Like
it
Good
many,
Angel.
many times to mute all those words out for Bruce. Get familiar with all the language.
Good Angel.
But yeah, Cass, what was your fourth favorite thing?
Okay, the last one I just wrote. It's kind of like go back to the beginning, but I said I appreciate someone's art that could help me feel that way as a kid. Just make me feel like I'm not alone. Like I can appreciate someone's art did that to me. That's
Yeah,
cool.
well done, Robin Williams and Chris
Oh,
Columbus, for
yeah.
sure.
That's amazing.
Absolutely incredible. And Sally Field. Okay, so I got to say a few things. Like, let's just be real here. The movie starts and Sally Field is told by her employee or whatever assistant that Stewart, played by Pierce Brosnan, is interested in her work. And she's like, oh, really? Only then does she go home and divorce her husband. Just saying. I'm not saying there's causality or correlation versus causation, but I'm just saying it's a little sus that Stewart was introduced into her life and it wasn't after the fact. I'm just saying. So
Solid.
there's that
She-
little thing. So when you mentioned, Cameron, that she wasn't an antagonistic, I was like,
She said
I
she
don't know.
stopped
I didn't
loving
say she
him a
wasn't
long time ago.
antagonist. I said she wasn't a villain.
okay, a villain. And then secondly, she might realize that she's not good. They're not good together because she was miserable when he was there. But she knows how much the kids mean to him and how much he's willing to do for the kids. And the fact that they would go to court and be like, yeah, sole custody, and you can see
I
your
know that
stuff.
was so ridiculous.
Makes
That is
no
the-
sense to me. Now,
Yeah.
again, no.
See,
Now, again,
but-
I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt. It still doesn't make sense, and it doesn't hold up well in this movie. Like, again, I get that they
completely
have
disagree.
to. Yeah. I get that they make it that way so he would go to such measures to see his kids, but even then, it's like
people
it's-
turn into different people after being divorced. You'd be surprised.
that's fair. But even then, it's like we never got to see that. So I get what you're saying. Like he might have been something else, but like even then,
That's
it was
what
like
I'm
what-
just saying,
okay, go
bro.
ahead.
There's things that from the the moment that you say we're getting a divorce, a person that was reasonable on something can be completely unreasonable.
I'm not
Trust me,
disagreeing
I'm
with you there.
talking from
I'm not disagreeing.
experience.
I'm saying in this movie though, it doesn't work because she knows how good he is with the kids. He literally will give them the world, right? I hear what you're saying.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like that's what I'm saying.
Cameron,
Because
you're
of
not
the divorce.
you're not hearing me. I'm saying in this movie they did nothing to establish that Robin Williams wasn't fit to be
Garen, you're
a
not hearing
parent
me.
for the kids. They didn't do anything to establish that, right?
I 100% understand. I'm just saying from my own experience, I've been cut off from my ex, second, my family in law, even though they know how good of a relationship I had with each of those kids,
Okay.
especially a 12-year-old boy who me and him were like borderline best friends. And he would probably consider me one of his closest friends. I wasn't allowed to have a relationship with him, even though she knew how important that was to him because of what she wanted. So
To be
that's why I will
fair,
say,
yeah. To
in
be
the
fair, I
divorce,
wouldn't
a lot
know,
of times people will just
yeah.
do what's best for them.
and I wouldn't pretend to know, like you said, cutting off for like in-laws and things like that. But as far as sharing a kid, like I said, the movie doesn't give us any reason to believe like why would Sally Field prevent Robin Williams from having any sort of joint custody with the kids because she's not happy in the marriage. That's apparent, and they did a good job at that. They did not do a good job at establishing why she's like, I need sole custody, and you can barely have the right to see your kids like once a week. I didn't understand that. I just didn't understand that. But that's the only thing I'm going to say.
That's a valid point. The only thing I
Okay.
would say is just my opinion of why she would do that is I think if it was split down the middle, who's the fun parent? So then it's, oh, we get to go to dad's and have fun. Oh, we're going back to mom's. And then mom's going to be working all day. And so it's like, it's just the difference of, I think she didn't want that to be so clear cut to the kids where it's like, oh, we go to dad's, we get to have fun. Dad doesn't work as much. He doesn't live in as nice of a place, but we get to spend more time with him. We get to have more fun with him.
Get a trashy apartment. Let's go.
Yeah. And then mom lives in a nicer place, but is always gone with work and we do less fun things. And so that's what, for me, if I was her, like unhealthily, I would want like to limit his amount of time. Cause then it's like the kids are like, oh, well, yeah, we see him like once in a while and it's fun, but like, he's just not around enough.
So these are other nitpicks that I have. Loved your reasoning, Cameron, there. One thing that bothers me when the wife comes to pick up her kids, it's like late o'clock at night. I think it's late o'clock at night, if that's even a time. I'm going to start using that. It's late o'clock. She gets there and it's like 7, right? Because it's 4 to 7. And he goes, you were an hour late dropping them off. And now you're here early to pick them up. And he goes, Daniel, I can't do this. I got to go to the bank. I got to direct. I'm like, lady, it is 7 o'clock. It is dark outside. The bank is not open. I don't know what reality you live in. The bank isn't open. So gonna call foul on that. So that's fake.
Ty's
Dark
like ready to
outside.
argue with
Maybe
this.
I'm
an
ready to
ATM.
argue. I'm like, hey, I'm in Ron Williams. I'm on his side.
Yeah.
You're
Maybe an
his
ATM.
gosh dang
Just
kids too.
throwing it out.
Nice. Teaching our
Anything
kids
else you want
words.
to teach our 5-year-old?
So I love that. And then lastly, the last
Yeah,
nitpick.
Cass said that maybe it was at an ATM, Ty. So
I'm just
Okay.
throwing it out
To be
there.
fair, I'd still put up a fight. Be like, oh, the bank isn't even open. And then push my
No.
fist at the drywall.
Ty, I did think of the moment that I was like, you could just go do those things and then come pick them up.
Yeah, he's like, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
need
what I
the
was thinking
kids for any of
too.
those dumb chores. Heck, anyway. And lastly, being allergic to pepper, you choke on a shrimp that's smothered in pepper. Now, when you actually have an allergy, your throat does close up. But somehow the allergic to pepper turns into he's just choking on a shrimp. And then he ends up Heimliching him and he spits out the shrimp and he's fine. No EpiPen. I'm just saying, your throat closes up. You need an EpiPen to come back to life. But anyway, it's just funny how the Heimlich turns to the thing that saves him. Just a
That's a
little
good
nitpick
point.
there. Just a little nitpick there. Should have had an EpiPen. And regardless of whether or not he was choking, that's another matter, right? This is what about Bob, right?
Yeah.
He's choking on a piece of chicken. You perform the Heimlich and he's okay. If you're allergic to pepper, he starts getting out in hives, sweats, his throat closes up, he can't breathe. And maybe he's also choking, but just performing a Heimlich and spitting up something. Cameron, when your face swelled up when you were eating cashews or whatever it is that you're allergic to, I could have performed the Heimlich on you, but you'd still die unless we got you the medical attention that you needed, right? So anyway, one other small nitpick, but it does make me laugh every time I watch it because that's a perfect way to, and all the commotion, his mask comes out. I'm just saying, maybe these were
See,
things they
it-
took into
it- it's-
consideration.
It's funny, Ty, because that part isn't even the biggest gripe to me. The fact is that the dude just like forgives him for almost murdering him because he saved his life. I'm
I
like,
don't.
he was
I
the
love
one
when he
who
says,
put your life
"Sorry
in
about the pepper."
danger. Yeah, I'm like, the reason that you needed to be saved was because he tried to murder you. And then he's just like, yeah, thanks. And they just kind of go their separate ways. I'm like, you'd be getting a lawsuit.
To be
coming your
fair,
way
I
in
think
many
I
other
think at that
situations.
moment he realized that he won though, because I don't think he and Mrs. Doubtfire were getting along very well. I mean, from the nights when he'd kiss her Sally Field goodnight and he'd look out the window and he's watching that. One of the funniest scenes. He looks up and he's like, hi, and then she like waves, and then after he leaves, gives him the bird. It's so funny. Like, oh, he gets to watch this guy moving on his family. It's so funny. Anyway, that's another one of my favorite scenes though, was when the sweet little daughter, oh my gosh, we called her Matilda, but played by Mara Wilson. So sweet. She's like, Daddy, what's dysentery or whatever. It's like, it's well when you get really, really sick and you have diarrhea till you die and all your innards come out. And he's like, you don't have to be so graphic. He's like, why would you want mommy to die? And he's like, I don't want mommy to die. And then it's so sweet. She's like, I will get she's like, you need to try harder. The oldest sister tells Robin Williams Daniel, and he's like, you're right, I'll try harder. And he goes, will you try to he's like, think of good things when you think about mommy. And he goes, I'll try. Funniest. That's such a
Call
sweet
her a
moment.
princess.
Again, call her a princess. I'll try. It's a very sweet moment. So
No,
absolutely
Ty,
love that.
that moment reminded me of Thunder Road, where it was like, we'd hate to see if you got hit by a train.
I'd be absolutely remiss if you got hit by a train. Oh my gosh. Anyway, and then I love there's a scene after they do the face transformation. You don't see it. That's a great reveal where they open the door and it's Robin Williams is revealed at the front door because they're the Uncle Jack or Aunt Jack and Uncle Frank or whatever it is, the gay couple like do the face transformation and you don't see Robin Williams's face. That's a reveal for later. I really like that. But the next scene, the kids are watching a show. It's like black and white, and they're like mashing up this face. Like it's so disgusting. She's like, the boy's like, this is so cool, and the daughter's like, that's the most revolting thing I've ever seen. Just really funny, like meta moment where they're watching like some other face disfigurement, and you're almost worried because you're like, oh, is this even gonna work? And then when it's revealed, Robin Williams, he pulls it off. I mean, he freaking looks like a woman. Dude looks like a lady. Which brings me up to
Wow,
my
you
last
really
thing.
know your way around a kitchen. Everything's
Guys.
just in such good places. It's intuitive.
It's great. The other quote I had too was just like, she's like, "Oh, as I hold this cold meat, I'm reminded of Winston." I don't know why that made me laugh. Just
I also
that's
love
really
the
funny.
dude on the bus flirting with him, and he's like, I like that natural look on a woman, very Mediterranean.
Like that
Sees his, like,
Mediterranean look on
super-
a woman, healthy,
Yeah.
natural,
Healthy.
just the way God
Yeah.
made you.
God made me very different.
Hope you have someone to go home to tonight.
Sweet old guy.
I love it when-
sweet old
I love
guy.
when the
I
guy
don't know.
tries
He
to
looks like
mug
a
him,
creep. They
too.
should cancel that bus driver and get him fired. It makes women feel
When the guy
uncomfortable.
tries to mug him, he's like, "Hey, back off, pal!"
Back off.
Broke my bag of pasta.
It's like, holy crap. And then, lastly, I would say Sally Field's reaction to when his face comes, the mask comes off. She's like, "Daniel, oh my gosh, oh my gosh." Like, the whole time.
time.
So good.
Mom
So
moms
good.
that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
The
go.
whole
We
time.
all have to leave.
We have to go. I have to go.
Go. I have to go.
Pierce Brosnan's like,
she had the most appropriate. That was like the most appropriate reaction of finding out that your amazing
was good.
nanny is
Perfect.
ex-husband.
Yes.
Oh my god! Oh my
Oh my
god! The whole time. The whole time.
So her reaction was great. That realization.
If we're doing quotes, I got one more when he's walking on high heels and he's like, "I'm gonna kill whoever made the
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna kill the misogynistic that invented high heels. Yeah, love it. I was also thinking of after he gets his new job, a very prestigious job at a studio, right? He's like, "What you're gonna do is you're gonna take these canisters of film and you're gonna box them, and then more canisters are gonna come in, and you're gonna box those, and then you ship them, and then you take these boxes and you ship those." Any questions? After you box them, you ship them. You smart. I love it. Like having a boss like that and like a meaningless job, and then gets his opportunity to present to
Which one's the dinosaur?
Jonathan Lundy. Yeah. And he tells you, "Who's the idiot that kept this show on air? I'm the idiot." It's like, "Jonathan Lundy, president, CEO, and owner and founder. Pleasure to meet you.
Former worker.
This is my last former employee. I'm
Former
fired
employee.
now." Very sweet. So anyway, just love all that. But my goodness, guys, if you haven't seen it, watching Miss Doubtfire perform chores throughout the house, like,
I was just gonna say that. I was like, don't go off yet. I wanted to say when he
Yeah, oh,
dances
yeah.
with the vacuum
Yes.
and the broom. That's great.
just going to town. Guys, the music in this movie, Walk Like a Man, hilarious. Dude Looks Like a Lady. There's a lot of songs that were like intentionally like just very, very funny. Just right on this wavelength. It's great.
And I thought it was great. In one of the behind the scenes, they were just talking about how he really did get that when he takes the remote out of the girl's hand and flips it behind him and it lands in the fish tank. So that really happened, but he had to do it a bunch of times until they actually got it. I just thought
Oh, I
that was great.
love it.
They watching deep sea
We
TV.
always watch Dick Van Dyke after school. Not anymore. Just like so dramatically throws it.
So good.
I love it. Oh my gosh. And the remote just starts sinking. It just fills up with water. I
Who
love
was
it.
it that was saying they liked the kid? Was it Cameron? Did you say you liked the kids,
Mara
Cameron?
Wilson. Yeah, Cameron said he liked the kids.
I liked some of the son's lines. I just wrote down when he said, "You don't like wearing that stuff, do you, Dad?" Like, I just thought that was great that he like asked, like genuinely asks him. And when he meets Mrs. Doubtfire the first time, I forgot that he's like, "Wow, you're pretty big for a lady. Do you like her like be a fullback
Like a
or something?" Like, I don't
linebacker?
know what it is. Like, that's
Oh,
just pretty
great.
honest. I love it. I like the quote when they're at the swimming pool and Pierce Brosnan asks Mrs. Doubtfire, he's like, "Come get in, come swimming with us." And she says, "Oh, you wicked, wicked man, isn't there enough flesh here to feast your eyes upon?" Just thought that was great.
Oh, or
Yeah.
the last quote
You
too.
wicked,
The one thing
wicked
we used to
man.
quote too is like, "I'll give you one kiss and a monkey bite." He's like,
And a monkey bite.
"You wicked, wicked monkey." We'd always quote that. I don't know why. "You wicked, wicked monkey."
I love that.
I like too how honestly, like, it's almost funny that there's many times where he almost got out of having to dress up as Mrs. Doubtfire because it's like, what if we just had dad? And he goes, it's not my place to say this, but maybe the children are right. Maybe you should just have your father come in. Like, he's like, I'm already done. Like, it's like the first day.
Right?
It's like, Mrs. Doubtfire, her whole lives are so much better because it's so great. Anyway. And then many times where
I
she
know,
thinks
he's his own worst enemy. He's
well,
too
and I
good of
never
an
so
enemy.
one thing you mentioned things caught, like there was one thing where Sally Field is talking to Mrs. Doubtfire and she goes, the employment officer, Gloria went to her or
Mrs.
not
Selner.
Mrs. Selner, excuse me.
Mhm.
Mrs. Selner goes to and she's like, Daniel has a lady living with him, claims that it's her sister.
Oh, that's right.
It's a much older woman, Mrs. Doubtfire. Did you ever and then you think that she's accusing him of like you're yeah. Anyway, there's many times where he almost gets found out, and that's great humor.
Did you
too.
ever get lonely after? Never.
Never. Never.
Never.
Complete celibacy.
The only thing that saves the memory of your lost loved ones is complete and utter celibacy.
That's a good line.
Oh my gosh.
Or
So
when
good.
she's helping her pick out the outfit, she's like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
wearing that to a
That's another good-
funeral. Yeah.
That says
That's
I'm
funeral.
easy.
That's Christ harlot. Don't wear that. No. Oh my gosh. I love it.
Well, you
And
ask
then
for my opinion and then you don't take it.
Like
and,
a kind of a sorry, after you.
no, go ahead.
I didn't remember at the very end when it's kind of like the more heartfelt moment and he's at Miss Doubtfire on the TV show and he says sometimes they can be better mommies and daddies when they're not together. Kind of like what Cameron was saying, like when they're not being like bad guy, it's like sometimes they can be better when they're not together. And then she ends with like, all of my love to you, puppet, you're gonna be all right. I'm like, this is why I liked it as a kid.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the ending message. I'm like, that's beautiful.
It's great that this Doubtfire was bred out of a TV show because he just couldn't say no to one dinner engagement over the other. So when he sits down in front of Jonathan Lundy, he's like, why on earth are you dressed like a woman? And he's like, meet the host of your new show. Cool Granny, hip
I
hop.
love it because he's like 16 like drinks deep too. So he's like, oh man.
Doesn't remember. I know he
I
sits
was like,
down,
what
he's
is
talking
that?
like Daniel. He's like, Daniel? Oh, it's amazing. So good, dude.
What am I looking at?
Well, yeah, because even the first time he's like, are you wearing women's perfume? And is that lipstick? And you're like, oh, he's gonna get found out. He's like, oh, I used to date a waitress here and she couldn't keep her hands off. And he's like, we'll see if she has a friend. Go on,
Clever.
go. Like,
So clever.
yeah, he narrowly gets out of that one, and then he just full out sits in front of him. It's like, why are you dressed as a woman? It's great. So funny. And then yeah, it becomes Mrs. Doubtfire immortalized on TV as a TV character, and the ratings are great. That's great. Anyway, last thing I'll mention, the dinosaur guy. I love that they got him a job as the mailman in the Mrs. Doubtfire show. I'm like, yeah, you don't fire him, you keep him on. He's just the boring old mailman that comes by. But that show is so endearing. Like Robin Williams probably could make a full show, like not today because he's dead, but I mean, like back in the day, he could have been. That show looked real. Like it had puppets.
Yeah.
It has Mrs. Doubtfire, some British lady telling you about the world, and just very sweet. And people write in, and she tells you feel good, heartwarming messages. It's just a very sweet show. We need more of that in the world. So, my goodness, R.I.P. Robin Williams, the goat of comedy. So great.
Oh, he's so talented.
What other? Do you guys have any other comments you wanted to mention?
I recommend it. And it's okay because your kids won't understand the bad jokes. They will when they're older.
Yeah, and especially
That's called liposuction,
especially
dear.
if your parents got divorced, you should watch this movie.
Yes, this is a coping mechanism. My goodness.
Don't pay for therapy. Just pay $3.99 or whatever it is on Apple and watch it. The
I love
next
it.
best thing and much cheaper.
Love it. And last thing I'll say is the dude looks like a lady with Robin Williams by Aerosmith. It's funny because we used that song in our homemade music video where we made Kevin dress up.
Ty, you trying to get us canceled? Okay.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with that video? It's
Corey
amazing.
throwing up after he saw Kevin.
Yeah, well, we all threw up
Oh,
because
I
it has nothing
remember
to do with the
that.
fact. Hey, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's just because we're throwing up. So it has nothing to do with the fact that.
More about it being.
But guys, I gotta say, I recommend this film. Like you said, it's therapy. This is a very sweet film, so definitely give it a watch.
And
And oh,
just real fast, I just want to say too, I just appreciate, I know I said I appreciate art that could make me feel a certain way. And I just appreciate, I was watching this behind the scenes stuff about the makeup to do Robin Williams.
oh yeah,
On a good day, they said it took 3 hours. 3
Jeez.
hours to get him to look like Mrs. Doubtfire. And on a bad day, usually 4 hours.
And imagine like
I'm
his
just like, that's
theatrics. Like I
amazing.
imagine that there was all kinds of right, like because he's dancing, he's energetic, he's bombastic, right? Like so much acting there, right? Setting himself on fire. Like there's all kinds of impressive things there at work. And even the dressing down, we see a glimpse of it. You notice they fast forward it just a little bit, like 1.25 speed or something, when he's in the restaurant changing down from Daniel to Mrs. Doubtfire. I thought that was funny too.
The
'cause-
makeup artist says it took an hour to get off all the stuff off them. So I know they do it fast in the movie, but she said
Right.
it takes them an hour to get all the
Well, and
stuff
there's even
off of
cuts
them.
because you see him do all the bodysuit stuff and then he's dressed underneath,
Yeah,
but then they cut it and you see like the wig's off and then he just
right.
peels the mask, but you're like,
I
that
love when,
mask was applied
when
on.
he
Yeah, all
still has
that
the
stuff.
mask on. And he's like,
Amazing.
ah!
That's right. Yeah, the one last look looks like freaking Baghead or freaking Leatherface
He
from.
looks like Silence of the Lambs, man.
I thought of Jim Carrey's The Mask. That bad.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah,
the bad
that
guy?
too. Yeah, all the creepy face stuff was great.
Okay, I'm really done. Thank you. I just
I love it.
There
shout
was
out
a
to
bunch of
amazing
like those.
people. Wow.
There was a bunch of those jump scares I thought were hilarious. Same with the one where like the face mask of the cake, like.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
She wasn't expect Mrs. Selner was not expecting.
Yeah.
that face.
Hello. I love it. Well, we end every movie podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to. Cass, you got any movies that you've seen lately?
Yes. I am so prepared. I know you guys do this. Okay. Restarted The Chosen because it's amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm just loving that.
I forgot there's a new
Um,
season out. I haven't even started it yet.
It doesn't come out yet.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
know.
But
Gotta see it in
It's
theaters.
you got to see it in
theaters.
theaters. I'm sorry.
Silly goose.
Awesome.
Sorry.
We're finishing a movie. We only watched half of it, but it's a lot of famous people that I recognize, and it's a remake
Asteroid City.
of no, it's an older. It's not like brand new. I'm not gonna say it right. Praro. I am not saying it right. It's like that little detective that has a little mustache right here. It's like the French. Anyway, it's
Charlie
got like
Chaplin?
Wonder Woman in it, and a
Oh
guy-
wait, you're talking about
Oh,
the
Nile.
Murder on the Orient Express, but
or Death on the Nile.
Something like
One
that.
of
Death
them.
on the Nile.
that sounds
That's
right.
yeah, Death on the Nile.
I've only seen half of it, but it's a bunch of pretty well-known people. Anyway, it's
Mhm.
kind of interesting. Everyone seems like a suspect. I think everyone's gonna murder her. I think everyone's the bad guy. I've only seen half of it, but I'm curious to watch the rest.
I watched the first one with your husband. His mustache is like distracting. It's great.
Oh. Just fun people in there. Okay.
Yeah, Cass, do you recognize who it is though? You know, it's
Yes.
Lockhart.
Gilderoy
Yeah.
Lockhart, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Kenneth
And
Branagh.
Much Ado
Say his
About
name, Cameron.
Nothing.
Have some
He's so
respect.
fun.
He is name status. He's a good actor.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Well, Cameron would know it. He knows that I wouldn't know.
Jordan,
his
if you're a friend
first
of
name. He's
Christopher,
being
if
sweet.
you're a fan of Christopher Nolan, he's in like half of Nolan's films now, ever since
It's
Dunkirk,
true.
and
I
he's
do
in
like him in Nolan's movies.
he's what's his face in Oppenheimer. Yeah, gotta know him. Kenneth Branagh, famous actor.
I remember seeing him as a
I like
bad
him
guy in
in
something. I'm like,
Much About Doing Nothing.
Who-
He was really
Harry
Are you
Potter.
talking about
yes,
Gilderoy
yes,
Lockhart?
true.
Well, and Much Ado About Nothing too. Yeah. See, anyway.
He was
Yeah,
so
Cassie's
good. in
the
that.
villainous role cast was likely the Harry Potter 2, The Chamber of Secrets. He's Gilderoy Lockhart.
He's basically
the
a
foil
But that
to-
one, he's like into himself, and
Yeah, I mean
He's
he's a
bad guy in
fraud,
this
and he
movie.
He
he
was a bad
tries to
guy.
memory wipe Harry and Ron.
Yeah.
True, I know. There's like
Cass
a
is like, that's pretty
movie.
forgivable though, because they almost found out that he was a fraud, and they could have told someone.
They
I'm
were
gonna
only
find what
teenagers.
it
They
is.
deserved
Time.
it.
They'll make new memories. They'll be fine.
Okay, we showed the kids Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Classic.
Ah,
I
yes.
forgot how silly that the
I'm on
selfish
fire.
the selfish king. The selfish king is like always trying to kill his wife. I just
So
forgot
good.
that whole scene.
That's
He's
like
just
the best
always
part.
trying-
And I saw the play and they cut that from it. It's so dumb.
Oh,
I'm
what
like,
a
that's the
shame.
That's
best
the
part.
funniest part.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember nothing of that movie except for The Child Snatcher, and that's why I will never watch it or show my children that
I
movie.
don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Did you fast forward that, Cassie? Were your kids terrified?
Today.
No, we just talked about it out loud though while they're watching.
You're like, Kate, you're gonna see a horrific person, and I'm sure they're a child of God, and we should love them, but
He's going to be in your nightmares.
he's gonna be in your nightmares.
Every time
So
you close your eyes.
we're gonna leave our
Yeah,
door
when
open
you turn-
tonight.
when you turn off the lights, that's who you see.
No, speaking of bad guys though, Jude Law did the voice of this we just showed our kids and Caitlin's eyes were like this the whole time. And I kept like looking over and like, are you okay? I'm like, we're okay. Jude Law did the bad guy in the this, I think it's on Netflix, The Rise of the Guardians. Anyway, it's
Yeah.
cute. They did a good job.
The dark guy.
Chris Pine is like the main kid. Anyway, they did a good job.
Rise of the Guardian. Is that the owl
It's
one?
the Sandman one. Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
And like Santa
Sandman
Claus,
and
Easter Bunny.
Oh wait, no.
Yeah.
I said, is it the
Hugh-
owl one?
Hugh
Is there an
Jackman.
owl?
No. Oh, you're thinking, yeah, there's another one called The Guardians.
yeah,
or
that's
something
an
like that.
owl one. Yeah.
Oh
I
no, no,
forgot that
Guardians of
existed.
Gaul or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait,
There's
what
too many
movie?
of
Not
them.
Rise of the Guardians or something.
Oh,
like that.
okay.
I thought it was really fun. I
Hmm.
really liked it.
Yeah, it's got
And-
Jack Frost. Yeah, all those. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Different movie.
Hugh Jackman and Chris Pine. They did a good job on their voices. I thought it was, and yeah, Jude Law freaked me out. I'm like, he's a good boogeyman, freaky character. It reminded me of him in what is
King
it?
Arthur.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
I was trying to think of one Andrew watches that
G.
you would like.
bad G. Speaking of bad G, we did watch the Muppet one again. That was
Most Wanted.
Yeah.
it's pronounced bad G. Oh,
Fernandes. Oh.
we did our kids the
Bad
Three
guy.
Amigos. I love that my 7-year-old now goes around singing that song, the Three Amigos, and tries to hold it as long as they do.
Yeah.
It's 15 seconds, guys. We've timed it. Ryan and I timed it. Yes.
mean-
Ryan, get back on the podcast, talk about Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or The Rings of Power, because I know he won't review any of those.
It's a sweater.
15 seconds. It's 15 seconds long.
Today he turns 33 years old. We watched, and it was great because soon after Three Amigos, we watched Galaxy Quest, and I was telling Caitlin, I'm like, it's very similar in some ways because like they're acting, they think
And they
that
don't know. they're in
yeah,
real.
that this is real for those.
And you're going through
aliens.
our
And then
entire
next you need
childhood
to
of
watch
movies.
Tropic Thunder.
I
Cass.
know we've watched
Same-
so many movies lately.
Can I have your watch when you are dead?
Andrew and I watched 12 Angry Men, and I'm always surprised. Every time I watch that, I'm like, I'm always surprised that that's so entertaining.
Mhm.
like,
I'm just
sitting
saying
in
it's
a room.
possible.
Right? Ty-
Takes
that's
the
a-
knife out and stabs it in the table. All the
That
men
moment.
just lose their
Ty.
mind, dude. They
Yeah.
all just lose their mind. 12 Angry Men. I can't wait.
Insane writing.
This is 2025 version, 12 Angry Women or 12 Angry Thems. It'll be a great film. Very
Oh,
excited because you wouldn't want to
no.
associate women
Fine.
with being angry.
That is gonna
Just
come.
a
I
bunch
can
of chatty
feel it.
Cathys, just a bunch of women talking at each other, and they never come to a verdict. So it'll be great. Can't wait for that.
That is
Okay, and
Ty's own personal opinion.
I
12
wanted to
Angry
ask.
Thems.
I wanted to ask Jordan because on your last episode, Grant said he really liked this one new show. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. It's in the other room, but it's something about not the guy that did Zoolander. What's his name?
Ben Stiller.
Oh
Thank you.
yeah, Burning Love.
Because you said you liked it and Grant really liked it. I'm like, maybe
Tatiana
I like it.
loves it. And
I was gonna ask you though. Jordan,
you
give
can
it to
watch
me
the
straight.
first season because it's censored. The second season isn't. But there is some, I don't know. You and Andrew like sometimes, especially with comedies. There's
I
some
know.
off-color
Sometimes
humor.
borderline. I know.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's definitely some jokes that I can imagine you won't like, but
Okay.
There's a lot of hilarious moments.
Jordan,
You need to watch it.
wait 15 years when Cassie's an empty nester, then she'll find that humor very, very funny.
That's true.
She won't have to act like it's not funny. Like I learned about our dad. Like he thinks all of color humor is really, really funny. But while we were all in the house growing up
Just
together,
all
he had
growing
to
up
make us believe
pretending
that
he
he
didn't
didn't
like
find it
rated R
funny.
movies, and then the
Yes.
moment we leave, he's like, I love rated R movies.
Well, but yeah, because it's funny you say that because I watched About Time when Cameron and Grant were living at home, and that scene where he goes, I mean, if you made love to her, your eyes would pop out of your head because she was so beautiful. But then I watched it again when all the kids were out of the house, and Mom laughed out loud so hard to that joke.
That's so funny.
Just saying.
Well, again, you also develop a personal relationship. So if it's like a personal close friend or a movie that you esteem and you're on the same wavelength, you kind of let a lot go. Whereas the first time you watch something, it's kind of scandalous. You know?
Yeah, Cassie, I would try it out. Watch the first episode.
Mm.
With Andrew, he will think it's hilarious. I know
told him
he'll like
about
it. I don't know about you liking it, but I know he will.
Okay, thanks for the
It
recommendation.
makes fun of Bachelorette Ty and your Love Is Blind stuff.
That's why
Hilarious. Ty, it has all the guys from like Aziz Ansari. What's all those characters we like?
Paul Scheer, Rob Hubel, the
yeah,
Honeymoon
all
Giants.
those guys.
Yeah.
And then just like all the best comedians. So funny.
What is this show?
I'm sorry. It's they show up in season 2. Sorry, but there in season 1, there's a lot of great girl comedian actors as well.
What is this show?
It's called
Burning Love.
Burning Love. Thank you, Cameron.
Burning Love. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, second season isn't censored, but the first season is. So check it out. And the second season isn't even any good. Like Grant agreed.
Grant said too.
Yeah, it's trash. But the first season is hilarious. Highly recommend.
All right. Cass, are there
Enjoyed the
anything else
lifetime.
you're looking forward to? Gonna go see Dune in theaters next week.
I never saw the first one, but
It's on Netflix for one more day, so you should watch it.
I own it too. You can just
watch it on Netflix before it leaves.
I remember seeing a preview for it. It's like kind of sci-fi, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically Star Wars.
It's very sci-fi. It's the most sci-fi you can get. This is like the most sci-fi novel.
Does not get less sci-fi than this.
Andrew might like it.
And
yeah, he might.
Tell him to check it out.
Okay.
Man, we got all these great recommendations for your husband.
It's exciting.
We're reviewing the second one next week.
It's got better reviews than the first, so well, it's probably because it's like the other half of the story.
There's a line from the movie that I use in a lot of my coaching calls. So I'm just saying.
You have used that. I know, and it was beautiful. I remember writing it
What
down.
is the line, Cameron?
Yeah, what's the line?
If you remove your hand from the box, you're dead, or what?
It's the Oscar Isaac line that all I've ever needed you to be is my son. I think that's so beautiful. When he says like, he's like, I don't know if I want to be the king. And he's like, all I've ever wanted you to be is my son.
When I was a boy, I wanted to be a pilot. I told your father as much. But yeah, he said, great leaders do not wish to be leaders, right? But when duty calls and they're called and they rise to the occasion. Oh, so good. I love that. And he goes, and if you're not ready, all you need to be is my son. It's a good writing, folks. I actually know because I just started watching it tonight because it's leaving Netflix. I may have mentioned that.
Ty, I maybe I've told you I own it.
Yeah, so guys, Netflix, it's on today and tomorrow, and it's a leap year, so thankfully it's at least till March 1st. And I got to rewatch Dune Part 1, so I'm ready for Part 2. Crazy how much I forgot.
Finish it before it gets off Netflix.
Yeah, and hurry. You got today and tomorrow to watch it, so get started.
Thanks for listening to my lengthy list. It was kind of fun to think back to the movies I've been watching.
Now, hear all the hedonistic things that we've been watching lately, Cass. All right, Cameron, start us off, dude.
Okay, so I finished all of season 2 of Avatar Korra. So it's like the spinoff series. The perfect
slightly better than the new woke Avatar, I assume.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Still not as good though, right? Or is it good? Is it good?
I did watch the first episode of the live action, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a cartoon that should never have been live actioned, and so it's just one of those things where I'm like, why are we in this? And it's like they try their best, but there's like certain like
there's just certain aspects of the show that it's like it's kind of hard to not make it look cheesy because it's like they're bending the elements of the earth, like air, wind, like air, fire, earth, and water.
I
So
don't
it's like
know. I think M. Night
hard-
Shyamalan did a good job. Like 20 guys doing a silly jazzercise exercise, and then like one rock gets thrown. I'm like, he could have
yeah,
just
exactly.
picked up the rock and threw it. But what do I know?
Exactly. So there's certain things like that it's just kind of like I don't know, but so Avatar it's called Legends of Korra. It follows like right after the Avatar TV series. To me, the perfect like comparison is it's literally the Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, where it's like Legend of Korra is really good. Its biggest flaw is following up a perfect TV series, and so it's like because I'm always comparing it to Avatar, I'm like, well, Avatar did this better. I'm almost like, okay, well, it's because Avatar has like a 9.3 on IMDb, like as a full series. And it's like,
Yeah.
of course, it's not going to compare because
Right.
like Korra is like a 8
Well, I
point
don't know,
something.
Cameron. There was two really creative geniuses, Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, that did make a perfect TV show called Breaking Bad, and then made a spin-off sequel TV series that was almost as good, if not better, than the original. Just saying. So
I did
there's
think
something.
of Better Call Saul. Yeah.
Yeah, of course we
So
did, dude. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's like naturally a lot of times in spin-offs it's like you're like you want to stray from the like the source material but at the same time still respect. It's just a really hard line to cross. But it's like it's still really enjoyable, and I just watched like supposedly the worst season in it and it was still like really enjoyable. So I'm excited to finish season 3 and 4 of it. And then I also watched About Time for like the billionth time because I've watched it so many times, and then watched a little bit of the Batman animated TV series because it's amazing. And then I also watched. I had a double feature last night of I watched One Love, the Bob Marley flick. It's kind of
Any
like
good?
his biopic. It's literally Bohemian Rhapsody for reggae Bob Marley. Like
Is it
super
good though?
like
Or it's
super
good?
enjoyable.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you like Bohemian Rhapsody?
I'm mixed. I'm still
Okay.
angry that they got best editing because it's not well
Well, yeah,
edited.
it shouldn't have won that. But I think it was good.
Yeah. So like it's not gonna blow you away, but I like it's so cool. I didn't know how religious Bob Marley was, and also like how war torn Jamaica was. It's so insane. Like members from both sides of they were having a civil war, like practically a civil war at the time, and Bob Marley was trying to do like a peace concert, and people from both sides of the Civil War tried to assassinate him. There was an assassination attempt on his life, and they shot him, one of his buddies, 6 times, him twice, and then his wife in the head, and like all of them lived. And so then he like fled the country. His wife and his kids fled to America, and then like eventually he came back and did this whole like concert for peace, and had both political party sides like at the concert like shaking hands together. And so it's just so beautiful and amazing, kind of how like the
Spoilers.
difference
Did
that
they
he
at
made.
least like make the two factions
Spoilers,
like
it's
dance
history,
off?
Nugget.
Did they do a dance off
No.
or something like a break dance? No.
No,
Oh,
that
that's
would
too
have been
bad.
funny though. No, but
Little West Side
it's
Story, Sharks versus Jets or something.
it was just really cool to see
Missed opportunity.
like kind of understand the backstory of his music, because I always thought like, oh, like he's just kind of some hippie. I mean, obviously they were smoking a lot of weed and they're like they're definitely very Jamaican, like, oh, everything's good, brother. And it's like I love it how they talk about they only say I, they don't say you, because they say you and them separates us. And so you say we're all together. It's we and I. And so it's funny in their talking they only say I. But like I stopped there. Like it's really funny. And there's a couple of times where it's like it might be a better watch at home when you can put subtitles, because there was like I would say like 5 to 7%, no, maybe like 7 to 10% of the dialogue that you just like can't understand just because of how thick the accent is. But overall really fun. I mean, not gonna blow me away, but it was a solid 7 out of 10 for me. And then I watched Madam Web. So I was so excited. I was so excited because I'd heard it was arguably the worst script ever put to screen.
Was that the Marvel one you guys are talking about?
It was directed by
it's
Sony, but it
technically
is
Sony,
yeah,
but
no.
it's like a Spider-Man universe.
But they
And
don't have the rights to Spider-Man. So
yeah, so
well, which is odd
fif-
because Sony, anyway, they have like an
50 mi-
agreement. Yeah.
50 minutes in, I was fighting demons to not walk out of the theater. I was like, I came to watch this because of how bad it is, and then it was like it was one of those movies because like Wonder Woman 1984, I think everyone should watch it because it's so funny of how bad it is. This one I don't recommend to a single soul because it's like painfully bad. Like they're like the villain in the movie, they did a lot of his lines in post, but then they changed the lines from what they filmed. So his
Oh.
mouth is not in sync with what the lines are. So it's like, nah, nah, yeah, nah, 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 nah. And I'm just like, this hurts my soul. Like it's so bad. Like almost, I would say probably 30 to 40% of his lines are not synced up with his mouth. And I'm
Andrew's
like,
been watching a Zorro something. It's Zorro, and it's the same thing where it's like different. I don't know if they
off.
filmed it in
Yeah.
Spanish or something, but yeah, because it's not the
Yeah.
same.
I'm
Oh.
like,
Futro is Spanish, Cass.
Oh, it's I think it's supposed to be in Spanish, Cassie. You're probably all dubbed.
Anyway.
and so, but yeah, and it's just so sad. I'm like, I can't believe that this is a multi-million-dollar product and like project that just is so painfully bad. Also, just like there's so many plot holes and so much of it just doesn't make sense. And then also the way it was advertised is like, oh, this is a multi-Spider Woman movie, and there's not a single Spider Woman in the show. It's literally a girl who can see into the future, and then 3 random girls. So essentially, the whole plot is that the villain can see. He keeps having visions of these girls who 15 years in the future kill him because he's a villain, and they're 3 Spider Women. And so his goal is to kill these 3 girls before they become Spider Women. And then also, and then the girl protecting them can just see into the future, but has no spider powers.
So
So it's literally,
so he basically was in self-defense. He was trying to save his own life, right?
yeah, oh, it's so painful. And he says like the most just generic, like bad guy lines where he's like, I created a fortune to try to find these girls, find them. And I'm like, what? He's like, they're gonna destroy everything I built. And it's like, wait, what have you built? And like, I watched the pitch meeting on it, and you just watch the pitch meeting, you watch the whole show because he just makes fun of everything. There's just so much that's unclear, so much backstory, and it's like, care about these characters. And yeah, it's the most insane movie ever, and I feel so bad for anyone involved in it. If like that,
Well, I
put a lot
appreciate
of
you being able to willingly
down their
review it
lives.
because I hear Chris Stuckman on YouTube refuses to review it, and it's a big stink on the internet right now.
Yeah,
I guess he
just
wants a
'cause
job in Hollywood, right? Yeah. So
well,
he's like,
just
if I
it's because
badmouth the movie, I might not get a job. But yeah,
yeah, he's just
directing a film.
refusing to bash it because he's like, I've been a part of films and I know how much effort goes into it, so I don't want to just trash on something. But I'm
Cameron,
like,
this is the same guy that made Hilariosity reviews. So he would review bad movies and laugh at them. But I'm saying now he's like got an opportunity to make his own film, so he's not going to review it and badmouth
no,
it. Anyway.
the funniest thing to me is I'm just like, the script writers who wrote this, their only experience for majority of them, of the writers of this movie, was on the live action Power Rangers and then on Morbius. I'm like, so the track record is horrendous and we greenlit this.
Don't
And
you
here was
dare
our
bash
result.
the Power Rangers.
I know. That's how I'm like, how did the people in 1980 with the worst CGI you've ever seen in your life make better Power Ranger movies than you guys do in 2017? I'm like, all of you should be thrown in jail. So yeah, that's horrendous. I'm also halfway through Blood Diamond. Oh my goodness, that movie is insane. It's literally
So
like
good.
it's like City of God, like mixed with like Hotel Rwanda, and just yeah, it's insane. And then I'm just looking forward to watching Dune 1 and 2 this weekend because I'm gonna watch Dune 1 Friday night, and then I'm going to see Dune 2.
Cameron, Friday night will be too late. It's off Netflix.
And then I'm gonna watch Dune 2. And it's fun because I'm gonna be in Vegas for the weekend visiting my roommate's family and his dad. So they're a super big movie family as well, and they have like huge movie theater room. His dad's #1 movie of all time is Dune 1, and we're going to see. We're gonna watch Dune 1 with him, and then Dune 2 with him as well. So I'm excited to see where it stacks up.
Good
Of
crowd to
all
go with,
time?
man.
Whoa. Didn't even make
I
my top
know.
100.
The
well,
movie
what's funny is
is incomplete. I have to assess them
Yeah.
both
I'm
like,
together, you know?
I'm like, Dune isn't even top 3 Denny movies for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's how good of a director Denny is to me. I'm
Yeah.
like that might be borderline like one of his bottom like 3rd worst movies he's made because that's how good of a director he is.
The reviews are looking pretty bonkers though. It's like 90,
It's
high
insane.
90s right now. Yeah.
Some
So
of the
first one
claims
got
also are
80.
insane.
So
People are saying it's the best sci-fi movie ever made. I'm like,
I mean,
Denny's
it's technically the best sci-fi book ever made, is what they've said of all time. So.
It's Denny's highest Rotten Tomato score of any of his movies. It's 97 right now.
I mean,
so.
that's early though, so
It's just ridiculous. I'm like, have you even watched or understood Denny's films? The man deserves better. My goodness. Only until they anyway. It's property they care about, right? Anyway.
Do you go in there, Cameron, like being like, this is going to be the best ever?
Yeah, I got to keep my
high of an
expectations low because I'm gonna be let down. Yeah.
Well, like because I didn't like I liked Dune 1. My expectations for Dune 2, I'm like I would be happily surprised if it makes my top 100.
Me too.
I'm like,
yeah,
I would be like, wow, if it made my top 100. But like, I'm expecting it just to be like, oh, that was a really solid movie, because that's kind of what like Arrival is for me. I'm expecting it to be literally Arrival 2.0.
I liked Arrival even better though.
Than Dune 1. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Well, again, we are comparing half of a film. Like, let's be honest. Like, I know that some people have a hard time wrapping. Like, it's part 1. Like, and this is part 2. It's like this.
I know, but he didn't.
This is
sell
Kill
it as
Bill,
part
guys.
1.
Like Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair. That's one movie.
Oh my god.
Dune 1 and Dune 2. That's the whole story. You need to watch. It's the Titanic. It's the freaking second VHS tape. You need to rewind it and put it in, and you're like, oh my gosh, the second half is the ship sinking.
Yeah, it's the better half.
Crazy if you didn't know that there was a
agree to
second
disagree.
VHS.
I think the first half of Titanic is way more interesting than the second. The second is so boring.
No, to the ship sinking is great. Watching the guy jump off the edge and then ding, ding, spinning into the water.
I was trying so hard not to laugh, bro. It's insane.
Very interesting. I love it. Cameron, you're a movie watching machine. Jordan, how about you, man?
No,
what are your
Ty,
lists?
you can just read my letterbox. Ty, tell us what you've seen.
Okay, well, I did the Barbenheimer at home. I watched Oppenheimer and then I watched Barbie afterwards.
Oh my gosh. Did you
I don't get it.
No way.
No, I really did. I did. So Oppenheimer is an amazing film. Barbie is not for me. I'm just maybe because I'm not a woman, but the movie
Ty is just not the target audience. He's the exact opposite of the target audience.
I like Ken. He was funny.
I even then I was like, oh, something feels like women are putting words in his mouth, you know?
See, Ty has early onset conservatism.
You're talking about Shane Gillis. Yeah, I'm fascinated with World War II. Yeah. It's coming. Early onset conservatism. You think I like being grumpy all the time? Anyway, Oppenheimer, is such a good film. Robert Downey Jr. and dude, I can't even go. Cillian Murphy's just slays it. I mean, that movie is so good.
That's crazy.
I love Oppenheimer, guys. That 3 hours. You know what I wanted to feel in Killers of the Flower Moon is 3 hours just like that. Like I'm watching. I am so floored by Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, by Cillian Murphy's performance, Betty Safdie coming in. Like everyone's so great, it's an amazing film. And just watching him like visualize the atoms and the way they filmed all those sequences of like particles accelerating and everything, so cool. Fission and fusion and all that
I
stuff.
do want to hear that music again.
Oh, it's so cool. That's so good, dude. So anyway, and then I watched Barbie and I was like, why did people see these together? Other than the fact that they were released at the same time. Anyway.
Cassie, speaking of 12 Angry Men, somebody cut the trailer of 12 Angry Men to the music of Oppenheimer, and it's so great.
It's pretty great.
It's really good.
They did it as a joke, but it's still like got me. I fell for it. I'm like, dude, this is so exciting.
I know,
but I still like 12 Angry Men on its own, and I love the work that Hans Zimmer does with. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if it wins Best Picture, but I really, really hope that Christopher Nolan just gets Best Director, because I feel like this is a man that has been sorely, what do you call it? Snubbed? Yeah, terribly snubbed his entire career. He's like one of the most influential filmmakers of all time, single-handedly saving the box office.
No, Ty, we want to talk about snub. We'll talk about the greatest actor of all time never having an Oscar. The only Oscar nomination was for Brokeback Mountain, Jake Gyllenhaal. What?
I will agree. For
Nightcrawler
not
getting a nomination is the most criminal thing of all time.
I agree. But anyway, to watch Barbie, like again, like I said, it was just like a movie made by women, about women, for women. And it was just talk. They all just talk about their feelings. They just talk about it. And I'm just like, nothing happened. They just talk the whole time. It's fine. Anyway, the movie's not for me, so I'm not even going to gripe on it. I'm like, it's called Barbie movie. I didn't play with Barbies growing up like Jordan and Cameron here did. So I didn't like the movie very much. Anyway,
they're G.I. Joe's action figure style.
They're collectibles,
I
Mom.
With men.
Cameron played with men. Anyway, I watched a really sweet film called Dinner in America. I say sweet. It's like crass and sweet. So it's bittersweet. I don't know. It's like a
Yeah.
punk rocker that's just angry at the world all the time, and he
Didn't like
sets
the
things on
language. It
fire.
was so intense.
So good. It is so good. It is such a good
It would
film.
have been
I love it.
better
It's
if
like Nick and Nora's Playlist if it didn't suck, you know. This movie's really good. No, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist sucks. That's Michael
know.
Cera and what's her face. Anyway,
That's
this movie's really, really good. I love Dinner in America. It's really, really funny. I didn't expect to laugh that much. It's like a comedy. It feels like watching Napoleon Dynamite meets I put Patty Cakes or like
I would not compare it to Napoleon Dynamite. Sorry.
no, it definitely
Not at
it's like
all.
that small town America feel where you're like trapped in this story where like nothing happens. Like there's literally a scene where they're playing basketball and the guy like spikes the ball on the girl. Like it just reminds you of the tetherball scene from Napoleon Dynamite at the end where he's playing tetherball with a girl. He's just like, yes, yes, yes. He's just like beating some woman in a sport that doesn't matter. Anyway, it's very much like Napoleon Dynamite, but it's
No.
funny that you don't think that. I watched another very sweet film, Paul Giamatti and the Holdovers. This is a really sweet film.
Really good.
Highly recommend it. This is like the Dead Poet Society meets I put down a few other movies I can't remember.
Breakfast
it's in
Club.
my red box. A little bit of Breakfast Club. I actually thought it was going to be more like Breakfast Club, but it actually changes, Cameron. You think it's going to be Breakfast Club and Dead Poet Society, but it's a little more intimate than that. It's
yeah,
not so much.
After everyone gets to go on the ski trip except for him, bro.
Oh well, so okay, so you've seen it then. You've seen it, okay? Because I didn't want to
Yeah, I've
spoil
seen
too
it.
much of it.
I saw it in theaters, Nugget. I was the one that told you guys to go see it.
I wanted to see this for a long time. The first time I saw the trailer and Paul Giamatti had crazy eyes, I was like, oh, I want to go see that movie.
Clearly didn't want to see it as bad as I wanted to because I saw it opening week.
I'm so jealous. I have 3 kids and a
Yes,
4th one on the way.
kids.
Cameron.
Yeah.
No time. no
You got a
time.
good excuse.
But,
I have
Jordan,
a
have you
kid.
seen
I
Holdovers,
have a
Jordan?
furry
The
kid.
Holdovers?
Oh yeah, me and my wife watched it. I loved it.
Okay, yeah, very sweet film.
Oh,
Loved it.
great.
Cassie, highly recommend it. It's a very sweet film. You should watch it. It's an important watch.
Good Angel, sure.
Be an adult. Watch the movie. It's great. Okay, be a man. Okay, I watched John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. This
I
is
can
an
get
amazing
through it.
film.
I
This
like
is an
that
amazing film.
I need to
dude.
finish it.
Oh, it's good. You need to watch it. Like without this movie, like the movies like The Thing, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, whatever, like it is one of those claustrophobic. They're stuck in a precinct, a police precinct that's been nearly abandoned. They're transitioning to another precinct, another location, and all these gang members gang up and close in on them. And it's an amazing story about 3 people coming together to protect someone they know nothing about, and they're all different backgrounds. You have a black cop, you have a white prison inmate, and a female working. All 3 different backgrounds, different, and they all protect someone that they don't even know anything about. I'm like, it's people coming together, man. John Carpenter healing the world back in the 70s, There was a lot of civil unrest at the time, and he's made this movie that like, let's come together, kind of like Cameron's Bob Marley movie. So anyway, Assault on Precinct 13, really good film. John Carpenter's 1976 version. They had remakes. The remakes are awful. Don't bother watching those. But I was fortunate enough to watch the John Carpenter one. So, and then of course we reviewed Thunder Road. Love that. Jim Cummings, we love you. I watched a movie called Dumb Money. It's Seth Rogen, Paul Dano, and Shailene Woodley.
It's like a less good the long short. Is that what it's called?
The Big Short. Yeah, and you're right.
The
It was
Long
like the
Short.
story of the whole
Short.
debacle with the all the people that were shorting BlackBerry and shorting AMC theaters, and of course the biggest one, GameStop, right? And so it's all the people that invested all this money into it. He put like 53,000. He ended up becoming he reached as high as 40-some million dollars, but he ended up selling at around $23 million. And you're like, dude, this kid had 53,000, put everything he had into this, and paid off big time. So pretty crazy. But they were looking at all the companies will short. Anyway, watch the movie if it seems interesting at all. But this just happened back in 2020 and 2021. But watching it kind of annoyed me because you see like all the COVID stuff again. I'm like, that just seems like it just dates the movie so fast. And nothing dates the movie faster than that stupid song WAP by what's that degenerate? What's her name? Not what's her face? I can't remember her name. Anyway.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Is it Megan Thee Stallion? Degenerate.
I'm pretty sure.
Just low life. Just absolute worst song ever. I thought it was
That's
Nicki
one way to
Minaj.
put it.
Is it Nicki Minaj or they don't like
She's
each other?
on it as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they did do that. Okay. Awful. It just dates the movie so fast. And again, it's the simplistic form where, oh, these hedge fund managers, they're so stupid because they have a bunch of money, or they're evil because they have a bunch of money. And I'm like, okay, like, again, I like that you want to vilify him, but
and it
like,
is
why
funny
not point a
coming
mirror at
from-
your government who lets them off scot-free? Like,
And
anyway,
it's funny
backdoor
that all these
deals.
rich, actors are playing like
You know, it's like elitist actors playing these jerks, and you're like, yeah, you're the person.
Yeah,
Like, look no further. Like, that's you. Multi-millionaire, like Crimea River. Anyway, so it was whatever. Paul Dano's sweet. I like him in every one of his films, and he does a good job. It's like a subtle, dorky performance that he does. And he doesn't get beaten up like he's typecast too. He always gets beaten up. And so he kind of does, because his brother is played by Pete Davidson, who has won me over. I love that actor. I hope he gets some help. I think his liver's shutting down. His eyes are sunken so far into his head. He's got rings around his eyes. He is not healthy. He's probably smoked too much weed and done too much dope. I watched a foreign film called 20th Century Girl. Very sweet, pretty predictable, but it's a Korean soap opera. Maybe you'd like it, Cass. 20th Century Girl. Really good. It's on Netflix, and it's there to stay for the time being. But 20th Century Girl, very good. And then I watched, a masterpiece, guys. I watched Anatomy of a Fall. We're gonna be talking about it on the podcast, so I won't say anything about it here. Anatomy of a Fall is so good. I watched it twice, and this is a 2.5-hour movie. It is so good. I watched it back to back. Watched it twice already, and I'm gonna watch it a third for the podcast, because every time I watch it, I like,
gosh.
Mwah. Anatomy of a Fall is an amazing movie, Cameron. If you
It's
haven't seen
good.
it, please watch it. Jordan watched it. He doesn't get it, and that's okay. We'll talk about it on the podcast. We'll get him on board. But that's pretty much it, because I don't want to talk any more about Anatomy of a Fall, because we're going to be doing that.
It's good.
Or The Holdovers or Dinner in America. All three movies I would be happy to review. They're all great. So anyway. But that's it. Jordan, do you have any movies that you've seen? Oh, and then I'm excited to see Dune 2, obviously, and I'm finishing Dune 1. Just so I'm ready to see that in theaters. So, but what about you, Jordan? You seen anything
all
lately?
I wanted to just mention is that I created a list, because my Criterion and Arrow Video movies are kind of mixed with the rest of my movies. So I created a list on Letterboxd so I can actually go through it and watch them all. And I started doing that. I've already got through 2, and they're both amazing. I'm like, yes, I'm so excited to get through all these, because one of them is just like Journey to the West, like insane. It's like it feels like an Evil Dead movie, just how bananas everything is.
Is it foreign film?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're
the best.
Yeah. I mean, there's so
Anatomy of a Fall is also foreign. Just thought you should know that.
and
Highly
I've seen
recommend it.
basically, everything Ty watched. Wait, let me just mention just the
You should watch
one.
Anatomy of a Fall, cast. It's so good. So good.
I wrote it down. I'm gonna look into it.
Again, a mature movie.
It's rated
Very mature.
R, Cassie.
It's very good.
Ty
It's still a
recommended
good movie.
basically all the ones Ty recommended to you tonight are rated R, so I would not watch any of them.
Or all of them. I'm like Rich now. Who's like, what? Oh, it is.
The only one I wanted to mention to you, Ty, was a movie called, I can't even pronounce it.
IMDb it, Cass, and if it seems like a movie that you wouldn't like, but again, watch it and you're like, it's a mature movie about
Cass, you probably
mature
don't watch
elements.
it.
What's that? I'm just saying.
Anyways,
just IMDb it. You'll be like, oh,
called
I'll watch that.
Along with Ghosts. So the plot synopsis, Ty, is a yakuza. Like it's a Japanese gangsters. They're trying to.
I believe it's pronounced jacuzzi, Jordan. Sorry. What?
They're trying to kill this guy before he takes this note that basically proves that this head mobster guy is like guilty of all these crimes. And so they stop him in this forest, and then ghosts show up. And because there's a curse in the forest that, like, if you bring in blades in a certain area of the forest, like, the ghosts will scare you and attack you. And so it's so good, because then a little girl witnesses them kill these guys for this paper. She finds the paper, and so the yakuza are chasing this little girl, trying to murder her. And there's like ghosts mixed in it. It's crazy. It's bananas.
What is this movie? What is this movie?
It's called Along with Ghosts. I love it. I'll send you an image of it. I love it so much. It's such a great
Please
movie.
don't send me an image of it.
Yeah.
Cass is like, from that description, there is few things in life that I would like to watch less than that.
I'm such a baby.
Okay.
I sleep with a nightlight still, so let's just.
Oh,
that's it. Wrap it
yeah.
up.
Don't even get me started about ghosts. I have a freaky story, so I'm not going to share it. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
don't get me because we'll have to share it on another podcast, or maybe never, because you listen to the podcast. It's crazy. All right, folks, this has been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futromovies@gmail.com. Tell us a movie that you'd like us to review, and leave us a comment. We love the love, and we love to hear what movies you guys are watching. Guys, take it easy. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.
Hello.